It leads you to think, are we sold yet?
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
The thing. Yeah, maybe.
We want plays out, and we want plays out. We want plays out, and we want plays out. We want plays out, and we want plays out.
What's going on, guys? Nick here from Real Red Talk outside with the lovely Adam Gray, obviously from the channel. You guys already know him. We're going to discuss Mason Mount's situation. Now, personal terms agreed, Adam. How are you feeling about that?
It's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, he wants to get business done early by the looks of it, and we're linked to other players as well. I'm sure we'll get into them. But in a way, I'm happy with that he's trying to get it done early.
Mm-hmm.
But is he the right player? The quoted amount, I think, is a bit too much. But we got to wait and see now once that transfer window opens fully.
Well, that certainly dispels the myth on it of because they were saying the budget's going to be about £100 million or something along the lines of that. If Eric Ten Hag's going to go spend 50, £60 million on someone like Mason Mount, your budget can't surely be £100 million, can it? Because there's no wiggle room left.
No, surely not. Leads you to think, are we sold yet?
Yeah, that's
maybe.
The thing. Yeah, maybe. That's certainly a question with the ownership. How are they processing funds to buy this? Has a deal already been agreed? A lot of things in the air at the moment, but it looks like United are trying to get deals done early, which is a positive sign for Manchester United. How do you see him fitting in the system when he does, if he does come in?
Seems to be kind of, he's a versatile player. He can play nearly anywhere across the front line. He can play in the midfield too, attacking in kind of Bruno's position. But it seems to be he has really good work rate. Mm-hmm. So maybe in that kind of Eriksen role.
Yeah.
He won't be as defensive, really minded. But thankfully we have Casemiro who can kind of cover that. One-man army in a way. But I can kind of see him fitting into that kind of number 8 position.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think about all the games that Christian Eriksen's had, especially the big ones away from home, the Etihad, Arsenal game at times. One main criticism of him has always been his work rate off the ball and his physicality. Mason Mount's going to provide that in it when he comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Up and down the pitch, a lot more than Eriksen. He's obviously younger. Is he 24 years of age?
24 years old, so 7 years younger than Christian Eriksen.
There we go. And we've seen it as well. People are kind of writing it off. Kevin De Bruyne left Chelsea, didn't really start that much.
True.
And under the right management, look what he turned into. Yeah. So will we see something like that?
Absolutely. But it's just personal terms at the moment. It's not like a full sale or anything like that. So this is the first step. You then get you've got a 5-step plan with transfers. You get the personal terms agreed. Then you get the bid has been agreed between both clubs. That's what they're kind of stagnating on at the moment. United want to pay about £50 to £60 million. And then you've got Chelsea, who are probably going to say something ridiculous like £80 million. But if we all know anything about Todd Bowley, it's the fact he can't negotiate his way out of a wet paper bag. So, Mason Mount, how do we feel about this signing, guys? Let us know in the comments section. We'll move on to Rasmus Højlund. I'm not entirely sure his name. It sounds a little bit like a B-Tech Haaland, to be honest. But we've had breaking news that Manchester United have held detailed talks over potential deals for Rasmus Højlund and Randall Kolo Muani. Out of the two, Højlund is seen as a likelier player to join Manchester United at this stage. That's coming from Laurie Whitwell. Laurie Whitwell's also said, ideally, Eric Ten Hag would like to bring in an experienced striker and a younger one who could help develop United, but at such expense, it would depend on the sale of players. And this was the question I was going to ask you. You mentioned when we did that show with Jay Motti that you wanted 2 strikers. Are you happy with this news? How's the budget going to stretch?
Yeah, it's I suppose a bit of a weird one. It's maybe not the striker I would have gone for. My preference being an Irish lad.
Oh no, it was Evan Ferguson.
Evan Ferguson, yeah. Obviously, he signed a long-term deal, so that's probably going to be quite an expensive contract to buy out.
Absolutely.
But this guy, what we know so far is he's a Manchester United fan. He's come out and said it, and it's that he's dreamed to actually play.
It's working a little bit, isn't it, for a bit like that?
He is.
Come on, United!
He's like, come on, please take me away from here.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of player that I want. Someone who wants to be here, not a mercenary who's here just for money.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy with that.
I think that's one critical thing that you just mentioned there. The fact that he wants to be at Manchester United. That's the key thing. A lot of players who come for the money, or it's a big name signing. It's very much moving away from that kind of Ed Woodward-esque kind of big name signing. This is Disneyland, all that kind of bullshit. So someone like him would really fit in. I don't know if he can come in and be that kind of first team striker. If we can't get Harry Kane, would you take that risk?
I think it's a bit too much pressure to kind of put on someone so young, especially inexperienced. As you said there earlier, we need that experienced kind of leader as well. Will it be Harry Kane? Will it be somebody else? There isn't really many experienced strikers in the market right now. and one of them's going off to Saudi Arabia by the looks of it too.
Yeah, Mr. You alluded to Benzema, right?
Yeah.
I'm just double checking that. Yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of people are kind of discussing this Harry Kane thing when they're talking about the age narrative and things like that. But if you look at Lewandowski, he's just won the league with Barcelona. The guy's 34 years old, still I think top goal scorer in La Liga, or he might be second, something like that. Benzema, who's obviously still killing it at Real Madrid, might be moving to Saudi Arabia. But if we could get 4 to 5 years out of Harry Kane at that level, you'd absolutely take it, wouldn't you?
Exactly, and he has his eyes set in this target, so he wants to get another 46 Premier League goals.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so,
and he just guarantees goals. Look at him, was it 28 goals in the league season in a very poor
Tottenham,
very poor Tottenham side. So can you imagine with the chance creation from Bruno? He had, I think, in terms of gaps from expected assists, it was like 16, 15 expected to get that, but he performed nearly half of that.
Yeah.
And then Harry Kane is actually overperforming his expected goals. So if you mix the two of them together, if they can work together, you potentially have a really, really title challenging strike force. So.
Yeah, the main issue is going to be Daniel Levy in this situation, isn't it? Like, how much, how far is he going to drag us through this window? We talked about a 12-week cycle for Frenkie de Jong. If he starts dragging it, what's the cut-off point for you? Like, do we go in and just offer 80 million, or is it just like, we'll do 90 absolute max, and then we'll back out, and then if you're going to drag it about and add-ons and all this kind of bullshit, just walk away? Or do you think Ten Hag will want to get his man?
I think Ten Hag wants his man, and for me, I said it a while ago, I was kind of against that at the start, but the more you kind of think of the way Harry Kane plays, likes to drop deep. We've seen it with Weghorst as well. Of course, it didn't work out, but Harry Kane is probably one of the best strikers for dropping deep and actually hitting balls out, especially to the left wing. And can you imagine Rashford and him?
Yeah, well, you think about that Son connection as well. It's the exact same pattern. I think all the attackers will benefit from it, because it felt like a bit of a dud in that thing. We're talking about Weghorst. He might actually be starting in the FA Cup final, which is just absolutely mental, by the way. I know he started the Carabao Cup final and did okay, but his form of late, you can't have much confidence with Weghorst, can you, going into the FA Cup final?
No, you can't. I don't think he's a league goal for us, does he?
I think he scored against Real Betis in that 4-1 victory, and then he started crying basically pretty much. And then he scored against, I think it was Charlton, so he's got two cup goals, that's it.
I think there were two relatively deflected. He came back to him.
Back. Weren't the best goals either, but he'll take him. And you know what? If he goes back to Burnley or anywhere like that with 2 goals in his bag, a Carabao Cup final, a cup and an FA Cup as well, you can't really complain, can you?
No, you can't really. I suppose you could say your time here was a success in a way.
Yeah.
But
brackets.
Brackets. But he has a chance to become a cult hero tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come around that often to become one like that. So. Yeah. Take your chance. Hopefully we can get that.
If he gets that FA Cup final, what everyone was talking about, there's going to be absolute uproar. And Sam has promised as well that he's going to get a tattoo of Weghorst on his back. So make sure you hold him to that, everyone. And let us know your thoughts about Weghorst, how you're feeling about the final, because Anthony Martial is out. And also talk to us about the striker situation as well. How do you see it going with Rasmus Højlund? Will we get Kane and Højlund, or will it be a Kolo Muani? How's it going? Talk to us. Make sure you drop your comments in the comment section as always. So the last thing we wanted to discuss was the ownership situation. Still up in the air at the minute. There's a lot of talk that we might be waiting until after the FA Cup final, Adam. How are you feeling about this going forward? Do you have a preference? Because you've always been a little bit Qatar. Are you on the fence a little bit, or would you say Qatar's the best option for Manchester United?
I think you got to think it in the perspective of what's best for the actual club.
Yeah.
Of course, it has its question marks. State-owned. I know it's not necessarily state-owned, that's what they're saying, but is it?
Yeah. You don't know the answer.
Inverted commas there, but I think it'd be the best thing for the club, because they're just going to clear the debt. They're going to invest in the infrastructure of the club, from training ground to the stadium behind us. And
lovely stadium. Just take that in for a second. Let's have a little look at that for a minute. Gorgeous weather in Manchester. We've got a beautiful stadium and a lovely Irishman alongside me. Absolute pleasure. Sorry, continue.
But I think it's probably the best thing for the club. We need cash injection. I was actually at the Etihad last night, and I know, but trust me, it was probably the first time I've seen it ever sold out.
Yeah, true. Good point.
The infrastructure they have around the stadium,
the whole academy bit as well. The bridge where it goes over to the thing like that as well. You look at it as whole complexes. It kills me to say because it's Manchester City, but it is stunning, really, what they've done over there.
And that's the difference between investing $1 billion into the club and taking $1 billion out of the club. And look where we are. We are quite a bit behind, but of course, we can actually speed up, and it didn't take Man City necessarily long to actually, challenge for that title, win that title. So I'm hoping it's Qatar, because we'll be a while with the minority kind of share with the Glazers. They're still in the club. That's not what we're looking for. Yeah. We want a full sale. It's always being protested that nothing but a full sale only.
Yeah. That's the issue, isn't it? I think a lot of people it was kind of 50-50, maybe 60-40 with Qatar and Sir Jim. But the fact that Sir Jim's got into bed with the Glazers a little bit has kind of ruffled a few feathers. Some people are not happy about that. How do you feel about that situation yourself?
I don't like it. Of course, we just want to separate completely from the Glazers. Yeah. If they're still lingering around, they're going to be taking their... I know it'll be a slightly smaller dividend, but they're still taking money out.
They're still making profit for the club. That's the issue, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And they're waiting until after the season's finished to avoid, I suppose, mass protests. Yeah. Because you mainly see it during match day. That's when the protests do kick off. Because every other time they're not really here. They're never here.
No, they're never here. And we want them gone as soon as possible. But it's been absolutely dragging on this since November, I think it was, when they announced that they're looking for strategic alternatives to sell the club. This certainly feels like a strategic alternative as well with what they're doing with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And if he wins the bid, look, I think there's going to be a bit of reaction. But I think equally as well on both sides, whoever it is who gets the kind of vote, if Qatar get it, there's going to be discussions about human rights. There's going to be discussions about everything that went on in the World Cup with migrant workers and the LGBTQ plus community as well. So how do we factor that? Because if Sir Jim comes in, you look at the stuff that's going on at Nice at the minute, it's not been great. If anyone's done the research and look how he's handled the whole situation, the board, managers, players, it's not been great there. And Nice is a small club. You're talking like £90 million compared to Manchester United, which is an absolute giant. Mm-hmm. And then Qatar comes in. There's going to be heavy spending. But then what's to say it's not going to be like the PSG experiment? You say we want Mbappe, we want Neymar. Do you want them kind of players at the club if they're going to come in and we're going to spend billions and do all this kind of stuff? It's not always the best route, is it? You see what happened with Chelsea.
Exactly. It can be, as you pointed out earlier, it's kind of like you don't want it to become Disneyland. No. You don't. And
we've already been that under Woodward, haven't we? So.
Exactly. And I think... Sheikh Jassim would kind of look at the last 10 years as well. We have gone for the big names, and it hasn't ever really worked out, has it? Of course, I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I turned around and said, okay, I don't want an Mbappe when we have Weghorst up front. So
when you put it like that, it's
but is it worth it? It's going to be like a 200 million probably deal, something like that. It would be for me, it wouldn't be worth it. I'd rather go down the road of who does the manager want and buy into their ideas. Look at Jurgen Klopp under Liverpool. He always got the right signings. They waited for the right signing at the right time. They delayed signing people to get that guy maybe in the next transfer window. And I want to see a bit more of that, because that's what it actually takes to build a title-winning team. So I'd rather who the manager wants rather than the big names.
I think whoever it is who comes in, if it is Sir Jim with, I think it's Dave Brailsworth, I think his name is, who's like a sporting director, who's like his trusted right-hand man, or if Qatar comes in, whoever, they need to get board level sorted as well, don't they? Because as much as a lot of journalists will put out there that they're doing a fantastic job and they're amazing and they're great at, in reality, you look at the summer transfer window that's just happened, everything that happened with Rabiot, everything that happened with Arnautovic, it was awful, wasn't it? It weren't great. So when they come in, that is something they need to focus on. But I think just in general, if they back the manager, Erik ten Hag, you'll be fine, won't you? You just need to back who he wants. You look at the summer, the transfers we brought in, Malacio, Ericsson, Casemiro, Lissandro, and Antony arguably have all been successful in their own right. I know Antony's his first year, but a lot of them have been pretty good. So if you look at that from an owner's perspective, you would back him, wouldn't you?
Exactly. He has an eye for talent. He does. People are questioning that just because of Weghorst, but it was a stopgate till the end of the season.
You have to get it. It's just someone to play there, isn't it?
Exactly. And sadly, it wasn't really the best option, but there was no other option really. Yeah. It was Gakpo, wasn't it?
Gakpo, and that last one that kills me, because I really wanted Gakpo. You look what he's doing for Liverpool, versatile, another versatile player. Ten Hag seems to like this versatility. He would have fit in the system perfectly, wouldn't he?
He would have been perfect. And we didn't have Sancho for a while as well. He could have been, occupying, add a bit of depth up front as well. But look, we ended up with Weghorst, and we got to kind of stay with that now for one more day.
Yeah, I feel like doing a bit of a time moment here where it's like, Gakpo, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. Neil Mope, you're dead. But yeah, just I don't know where else to go from here on the ownership. We're kind of just waiting to hear something. We're having accounts out there, which actually I want to address for a second. We're having accounts out there at the minute that are trying to get the first dib on it, first jump on it. That famous Qatari account that you follow, Sheikh Jassim, in 4 hours' time. It's going to happen. It's going to be done. And then like you've had MUFC MPB as well, who was coming out saying like with a picture of Sheikh Jassim. Just wait until you hear something concrete from a Mike Keegan, from someone within the Rain Group, if they report it. And hopefully it'll be sorted soon. We think it's going to be after the FA Cup final. But we're not too sure yet. We'll just have to wait and see. But if anything breaks, of course, we will go live on Real Red Stock. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Make sure you turn on your notification bell as well. And make sure you smash a like on the video. And yeah, nice one, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Best place in the world, especially on a day like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Gorgeous. Thank you very much, guys. Take care of yourself. Peace.